Hi, everybody, and welcome to Talk to Me Tuesdays. It's your girl, Anja, and I'm here with a dynamic dancer, cheerleader, and gymnast, making her dreams come true on the field with the Denver Broncos. As an NFL cheerleader, I present to you my girl, Sha'uri. Say hey.
Hi, guys.
Bum, 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 bum. You get all the praise, girls. I think you have such a great story that you should tell people. So, first of all, how did you even make your dream come true of being an NFL cheerleader?
So I feel like that's just such a big question.
Okay, hold on. Let me break it down. So I really started following your journey pretty heavy when you decided to go to college. Tell me about that.
Right. So coming out of high school, I had decided, gymnastics was, I had gone where I was going to go with it, and I was going to take it into college. But the parts of gymnastics I loved were the dance parts, doing beam and floor. And so I knew I always wanted to teach. At some point, I thought I was going to be a math teacher, and I scrapped that really quickly once college became real, because I was like, this will be boring doing the same thing every year. And so I was like, well, what else do I love? And I was like, I love gymnastics, but I want to be a quality gymnastics teacher. I want to know what I'm doing. And so I decided to get my degree in dance. And that's when I asked my older sister, I was like, do you know anyone? And she had you as a friend. And so picked your brain a little bit and decided that a dance degree, like if I knew what I was going to do with it, a dance degree would be a very quality degree for me to get. And so I went and I did a year at Arizona State, and then I transferred over to New Mexico State and did 4 years there and graduated with my bachelor's with a focus in education.
Okay, great. So I know that you were on the dance team or like the cheerleading team, and you had the opportunity of a lifetime. Can you tell us more about that?
My first year on the team, we got the opportunity to go up to Broncos game. It's Broncos against 49ers game, and perform halftime for them. And so my dance team was a part of our band in the sense, which I'm super grateful for. Like in the long run, I grew up as a band kid as well. So it's just my realm. They were my people. But our director was kind enough to set up a meet and greet with the cheerleading team. And so I got to watch them during their field rehearsal, which even now, thinking about what field rehearsal feels like, they were incredibly gracious to take the time, because field rehearsals can be like in and out, brutal, get all your material done. But we got to kind of watch them practice. And then they took a minute to just talk to us a little bit, get a team photo with both teams, and just watching them, I fell in love. I was like, they're so professional. And then talked to them, I was like, and they're kind. And on the flip end of it, I went back home and did research on the organization. I was like, they have a really, the cheer team in particular has a really big program that deals with their military, and they have a junior cheer program, and everything that they did was just things that aligned with me. And I was like, okay, I've got to figure out how to make this my reality. I'm going to do this one day.
Oh, I love that. So you were hit with a little bit of adversity, I think, because like the first year you went out and you didn't get it. But from what I remember, you on social media, you didn't really seem that upset about it. What happened there?
So I tried out for the team. I like to say 3.5 times. My very first time, I don't really count. I showed up when I was a junior in college, so I wasn't graduating. I wasn't ready to move, but I figured if this was something I wanted to do, auditions happened to line up exactly with my spring break. And so last minute, I bought a ticket up to Denver for like 2 days, and I went to auditions, and I was like, okay, I'm just going to see what this is like. I'm going to, at least get my toes through the door, get my name out there. And then that first time I made finals, and I had to go to the director. I was like, I can't stay. I have a plane ticket to leave. Like, I'm still in school. I can't do this. And so
I'm still in school, actually.
Yes. She was incredibly kind about it. She was like, well, if there's anything that you can do to stay, just let me know. Like, we have training camp during that week. And so, as long as I was able to be there at first day, she was willing to like let me continue. But I was like, no, really, like I have no money. I can't do this. And so the next year I auditioned that year, and I made it all the way through until they picked the team. And I didn't make it that year. And that first year I went through my interview process, and I was like, okay, wasn't ready for this. I heard the ums just falling out of my mouth, and I was like, it's okay, it's fine. And I was like, next year, I got it.
So did you not have the answers to questions that they were asking? Like, what kind of questions were they asking?
So that's the thing. Our interview process isn't the wildest. Like if anyone's watched like Dallas Cowboys cheerleaders, they might ask these really big, broad political questions. They really just want to get to know us.
Okay.
but I was just so intimidated by the panel that I was like, I could feel the nerves and the shaking happen. And so, and as soon as I stopped talking, I was like, why did I do that? Like, I didn't talk.
That's the worst.
Yeah. But I was like, you know, it's okay. I at least get to go through this and I get to know what finals week looks like. And I get to know what the material is and what to expect. And
well,
so then
I heard that a lot of like NFL cheerleaders, the different teams will put you through some kind of test for like to know your knowledge of football. Did you have to do that?
So we also have a football test, and our director does give us kind of a packet to study off of, because in football, there's a lot of knowledge that you could know and experience as far as all 32 teams or just specific to yours. And so she does give us a little bit of guidance on going, I don't need you to know the history of everything that's ever happened in football, but you should know the organization you work for. And so I think that year I did okay on the test, just because my parents weren't born in the US. Football wasn't something I grew up on. It's something I had to learn to love myself. Yeah. And so it wasn't like I sat around as a little kid like, oh, I know that. Like I had to really pick it up. Yes. And then the next year I went back, and I remember leaving that interview and I was like, okay, I killed that. I did that. Like I was very proud. I was like, if nothing else this year, I aced my interview, and I just made that much more progress towards, making the team. And I felt a lot better about the football test. And coming towards the end of that audition, it was a little bit more disappointing then because I felt a lot more ready, but I was like, that means I'm just not there yet. I haven't figured out every piece of the puzzle. And then 2020 happened. So that would have been my third year. And I auditioned, but during summer, they were like, we won't really have football games. There's no point taking on new girls that won't really get to have a football experience. Okay. But all the finalists that year got automatic bids to finals for the next year. And so I kind of lumped those two together. And then that was the year that I made it. And so my 3.5 in total.
Yes. So I have a question for you. So would you say that every time you auditioned, you learned something new? Is that how you were able to not feel so bad about the experience?
I would say, like, the way I approached it, very much so. I have a background in gymnastics. My high school didn't have a dance team. I graduated in England, and even then we tried to put together like a little dance team, but it literally lasted the year that I was a senior. Like the entire team was senior girls that had come from other schools that had them and wished we had one. And so I knew realistically that I was trying to bridge a gap that might take more than just the showing up to bridge. Like, could I leap, jump, and turn? Yeah, I was on a college dance team, but did I know how to do this professional style? No. And so each year I just took it for what it was. And I remember, like, I was very open about the fact that I was auditioning. I never felt any shame about not making the team. And so every year that I'd come back and I wouldn't make it, people, oh, I'm so sorry. And I'm like, don't be sorry for me. Like, when I get to make this team, it's going to be the right time. Like the first time I get to step out onto the field, I'm going to be the correct Sha'uri for the correct year that's going to make the right impact. And I'm going to be proud of whatever that year is for me, rather than this, like, I'm not ready, but someone should just say yes to me kind of thing. And I was like, I'm good. You'll see me in the uniform.
I think that is so incredible to be able to be like, look, like I didn't get it this time. I'm not sad about it. I'm coming back for everything that I deserve, that I'm going to work for. And when the time is right, like it's right for me. And that's, I think that's good for anybody out there auditioning for things. Like, the door will open when it's time.
Yeah. Well,
so go ahead.
There's this notion that a lot of people try to, like, what's your plan B? And I'm like, to be a Denver cheerleader. Like, and I'm like, and just to be clear, that's my plan C, D, and E, and F is refer to plan A, which is to be a I was going to do the work to figure it out. Mm-hmm. And I was not going to let myself do anything other than that. So I was like, I'm not planning to fail. I'm just trying to figure out the right time.
Oh my goodness, I love that. So would you say, like, who is in your corner? I think for anybody to make it to true success, they have to have either mentors or parents or somebody in your corner. Who are those people for you?
For me, there is a person that was a master's student when I was getting my bachelor's. His name is Jeremy. And he was a mentor, but not in the sense of necessarily dance. The dance aspect of that, I picked from places that I could find to get that going. But as far as just feeling proud about who I was and knowing that, like being comfortable in me, he played a really big role in that in college. And he did a lot of work in like Black studies, and we did a lot of pieces for his like master's work that dealt with that. And so there was just there was a person that I could have conversations with that just made me feel comfortable in what I brought to the table, and that I didn't need to fit this mold of like, and now I'm on the team, we say it's like, we don't need another DVC so-and-so, but they do need a DVC Sha'uri. And like, I'm going to fill that box because I'm the only person that can fill that box. And so knowing that now, he was definitely a person that just built me up in that way, that I felt very strong about who I was. And I was like, no, they need me. They don't know it yet, but they need
me. I see myself there. I visualize myself. I'm going to be good here. Oh, right. I really like that. So what would you say to somebody who's like watching cheerleaders, like NFL cheerleaders, and being like, I don't know if I fit in. I don't know if I'm too short, you know, too thick, too small. Like, what do you say to that?
It's not invalid to feel that way. Like, on the outside looking in, I know that I thought that NFL cheerleaders were your tall, itty, like your 5'10s. Like, they just had to be big. The field is huge. Where an NBA arena feels a little bit more intimate. You've got fans right up against the court. And so like, you might be able to pull off being a little bit smaller. And then meeting that team, there was a girl that walked up to me that was my height and that was just as little. And I was like, okay, clearly I'm wrong. Clearly it doesn't matter how tall. And like, they play it smart. Like, I'm in the short line this year. I'm with girls that are around my height. So we're going to look tall next to each other. They're not going to put me next to the girl that is 5'10" because I look like a small human next to the girl that's 5'10". And so I was like, you know, there are just things that when you're on the outside looking in, it can appear that way. And then the other part is just finding the team that matches you. You know, I found a team that matched my values, matched what was important to me. And they empower women. That's our big standpoint. And women come in all shapes, sizes, heights. And so, you know, being an athlete, we do want women that are fit. But fit is not this weight with this measurement and has to have these chiseled abs. In shape looks like a lot of things. But we are athletes. And so we don't want to dishonor an athlete by being like, oh, okay, well, we're going to just, you know, we still want people that look great, but that doesn't mean that it's this big. It's someone that takes care of themselves and believes in health and stands on that platform. And she might be a little bit thicker as a gymnast. I have thighs compared to girls that grew up dancing that might be a little bit tinier, but there is no disvalue in that look on my team.
And I think that's very important to remember, that whatever you have is enough.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then figuring out where you like what you want to conform to. There are some teams that have a look. And if you're like, I want to have that look, that is also very okay. Or there's some teams that are like, if you come natural, like we've got a girl on our team that's got this beautiful curly afro going on. And like that works with us. But maybe another team, they want this look. And if that's where you feel comfortable, there's nothing wrong with that. It's just finding where you want to fit into the puzzle that they offer.
So being an athlete, especially one to your level, what does your training look like? What do you have to do to stay in shape, and not just stay in shape, but be the dynamic athlete on the field that you are?
So my team is like, they have a lot of resources for us. And so we have yoga memberships, like hot yoga memberships that are available to us. And then this year we've gotten introduced to a food program that kind of does meal prepping, because all of us have full-time jobs. We're full-time working women, and then we do this. And that means your time starts dwindling when you add up all of the things you do. And so they've made it a point to add those areas that can just help. Meal prep, being ready for that. But for me in particular, I work as a gymnastics coach, and I spend a lot of time spotting and lifting and in front of other young girls. And I'm going, as an athlete, your body and being healthy is important. And being that example of like, I'm not saying being skinny is important. I'm saying being healthy is important. And so
that's so important.
Yeah. And sometimes I work out with them. I work out with my girls. I'm like, I don't need to just stand here and watch you do crunches and abs and this. I can do them with you, which on the flip side for them is like, okay, my coach is doing this with me. I can't say it's too hard because she's also doing this. She cares enough to do this. She's showing me that it's important to do this. And so I try and do that. And then I am a big proponent of like walking and that kind of cardio. I am not a runner. I'm a sprinter. As a gymnast, I can sprint the stationary object and we're good.
Yeah, but me too.
It's just not my thing. But there are ways that you can find what is your thing to be healthy. And then practices 4 hours of cardio really just does it like nonstop, full hitting. That'll do wonders for your fitness right there.
So I have to circle back around, because you said that you got an opportunity to do something like with the military, and like you grew up as a military. So how did your life come full circle with being an NFL cheerleader and growing up overseas?
So my team has a Cheer for Troops program. During the month of November, we take donations to send boxes and care packages to our troops that are deployed, just to send them a little love from home. But with that, my team also gets the opportunity to go on military tours in our off season. And so this year, I want to say we went on 5 tours, and I want to say 2 of them got canceled along the way just due to COVID and specific things. And so the tour that I got to go on was supposed to go to Kosovo for 2 weeks, but with everything going on, our troops were needed. And so they pivoted and ended up sending us to England, which is where I grew up for 10 years. And so it was kind of like a welcome back tour. I got to visit a lot of the bases that I'd grown up on. And like, this was the base we used to have our choir festival on. And this is the base we did this. And my dad used to go here. And when I was growing up, our 4th of July celebration was on this base. And like, just kind of getting to explain that life. And then that tour in particular, so 3 of the tours were mixed with other teams and 2 of them were just for my team.
Okay.
And the one I went on was mixed. So I went with 2 Colts cheerleaders, 2 Vikings cheerleaders, and then another rookie. I was a rookie last year, so another rookie on my team, and we got to go to represent the Broncos. And it was just nice to kind of build those bonds and see that, like, as NFL cheerleaders, that's its own sisterhood. Like, you've got the one for your team, but we all across the league understand each other, and we're like, oh, your team does this and my team does this. And a lot of the directors were cheerleaders, and maybe they were on different teams. And so the directors for the Colts happened to grow up in Minnesota and happened to be a Denver Broncos cheerleader. So having her as our tour manager just kind of brought us all together even more, because she understood each of us in a different way. And then they got to appreciate, not just like when you think military, you think about our people serving, but there's also families. And it's like, oh, you got to live in England growing up. I'm like, well, I got to live in England without my dad and without all this family around me to have these holidays with and have these things. Like, it was just me and my mom, or me, my mom, and my siblings, or whoever. And so it was nice for them to feel that appreciation of how much they impacted those families that we visited. And then on my end, it was kind of the flip of getting to be the person that visits, that makes the kid that's overseas feel a little bit more at home, or like this cool experience. And I was like, getting to see them appreciate it. I was like, you don't understand how much it meant, being a kid that was in that situation, how much it meant for you to be there and care as much as you did. And then for me to be able to be the giving side of that for those kids.
So good.
Like,
I am you.
Yes.
You go off to do great things.
Like, it's really cool. I got to meet one of the commander's wives, that their daughter was at the high school, and she set up a meet and greet for me at the high school. And like, she was super cool about it, because she was like, these kids don't always feel like they can go do great things because they've not had this stable, place where they can build from. And so she's like, for you to come and show that, like, you can go back to the States and go through college and still be able to get those connections and do these great things. Like, she was in tears, which then put me in tears. I was like,
oh my God, yes.
It was just a really great experience that I'm really, really excited that I got to go on.
Oh my gosh, that sounds so full circle and so empowering to be like, we can do it. Like, just because our life is different and people don't understand us is really cool to see that you were able to do that.
Right.
So another pivot really quick is, so I tend to stay on the basketball side of cheerleading. Right. So my question to you is, how do football cheerleaders stand out in the cold? Like, how do you guys do it in basketball? Like, we should get to be inside no matter what the weather is.
Control, yeah.
Right. So how do you guys do that?
So for my team in particular, like, there are some teams that have domes, and so it's very similar to an NBA court. They can temperature control the building, but for us, we have an open stadium, and Denver is known for its snow. Like, this is the place you come to do your skiing and your snowboarding. But my team has, I work in the office, and so I work in our uniform closet a lot, and my team has complete snow gear that we can pull out if it snows. And every game day we roll in with a suitcase, because we do have, like, we wear authentic leather, which will keep you warm. So say it's not snowing, but it's cold. Well, when you're wearing a full set of leather chaps and a heavy leather jacket, I'm like, no, trust me. I turn around and bust out one little, like, vamp on the sidelines, and I'm toasty already. And then if it's, snowing, it's the same thing. The second you start moving, you just get hot. It's normally the issue is when you don't have a reason to move for a second, but you've already gotten warm. Then there's that little bit of a temperature uncomfortable. You're like, I'm hot and I'm a little sweaty, but I'm freezing. But normally it's not big of an issue. But I will say, my rookie season, we did 8 out of 10 games in our skirts. So it was a really warm season for Broncos, but I'm feeling like there'll be a snow game this year. Like I got lucky, so I have to get the full experience of being a, Denver Broncos cheerleader.
Okay, so let me think. So what would you say to somebody that maybe started dance late, but they were an athlete like you? So for example, like I think in the dance world, there's like this misconception to go pro in any form of dance, you need it to start at 3. So what would you say to somebody who's like, I'm not, I'm 16.
And yeah, I feel like I'm already too late.
Yeah, I'm too late. My dreams are gone.
Don't be afraid to make yourself uncomfortable. I can tell from the women that I've met, all of us get that feeling of auditioning. My team, a lot of women don't make it their first year anyways. And those are women that grew up in Denver, dancing in Denver. Like, it doesn't matter what your background is. They're just hard teams to make, but don't be afraid to ask. Like, I personally used to watch the girls post videos of them during prep season. And I'd take those videos from the girls that were vets and I'd watch them. I'd, screen record them and learn them. And then I'd post them and I'd be like, thank you to DBC so-and-so for posting. And thank you to so-and-so, whoever choreographed it. And I just kind of put myself out there and do those shout outs. And it just kind of gets you in your organization's eyes. It does show a level of commitment where it's like, hey, this girl's out here, like putting herself out there. Maybe we should keep an eye on that. And while the directors might not go fishing for people, alumni are always super interested in the women that could come to their team because they're building on their legacy. And so they kind of do the looking around for people, like, oh, I saw this one girl. So like when auditions come around, your director's like, oh, I heard about that one girl over there. I would also say reach out. Like I've had women reach out to me we have official Instagram accounts, but even my personal one. And they'll be like, hey, would you be willing to look at this video and tell me any feedback? Through the audition process this year, I told any of the girls, I'm like, hey, if you just want some feedback, I'm happy to give. I might not be the perfect, example of how to make the team. I might not make you be on the team, but I will do my best to at least give you the steps to go in the right direction. And I feel like a lot of women on any of the teams aren't going to be like, oh, look at this girl thinking they'd be like, oh my God, yes, let me see how I can help. Girl, you've got this. Let me know when you're at prep classes, like come say hi. And so we are a very loving community, as much as like dance seems like these girls are catty. We're really not. Most of us are like, we've been there. We get it. I got you.
So would you say that you don't really get an off season? Once you're on, you're pretty much on?
For my team in particular, yes. I feel like a lot of teams are, but there's like, if you think about promos and being in your community, if that's important for your team, you're in your community 24/7 because there's always something going on. Coming from us, once you start, so we start our rehearsals in June, we go through summer, then we have football games. You go through, then you get to January and say your team doesn't even make playoffs or the Super Bowl. Well, they still need cheerleaders and people to go and be a part of these Super Bowl parties for people that aren't going to Super Bowl. And so a lot of girls get sent. That's where our military tour kind of lines up with the Super Bowl. And then the second set that we did lined up with the draft party. And so for me, it was January, you got maybe a week. And then I was learning routines for a show we were doing on our military tour in February. And then I got back and prep classes started in the end of February because auditions were in March, end of April. And so before you blink, you're like, oh, I'm back.
We're back at it.
My downtime was like after making the team, they give the women that are moving a chance to get there. And so you're like, I have a week of no practice and no prep classes. And what do I do with myself? I don't know what to do with this free time I have.
So, day in the life of you being an NFL cheerleader, it is game time. What are you doing? When are you waking up? Tell me.
Game day? Oof. Girl game day. It depends on the time of your game. So I'd say last season we had a lot of 2:00 games. And so
it's 2:00 game day.
Right. Pop my eyes open. Normally get my fresh shower, make sure I have normally the night before I try to make sure all my items are washed, but you always double check and maybe there's something. So you make sure everything you need for the day is clean, ready to go. I sit down, I start doing my hair and makeup, and my husband, bless his heart, has gotten into he knows my game day routine.
Yes,
and he knows
husband.
It is a tornado of me going from, I need something from the bathroom, and then I need to go to my room and do this, and then I need to grab this, and I need my, I normally drink a liquid IV that morning to just get my hydration going, and he's got my bottle of water and my mixed, and he's handing me my bottle, and so in the house, it is just a tornado of packing my uniforms, double checking my list, hair, makeup, getting stuff. Then he drives me to the stadium and I walk in. Normally I get there about 45 minutes before we have to start our first rehearsal. Some girls get there much earlier. They just like to be there.
You have a full rehearsal on game day?
We have a whole field rehearsal before.
Oh boy.
So some people think we just show up and do this. No,
yes!
We have a whole field rehearsal.
Oh,
so
no.
I stuff in my locker, kind of set up my makeup in the area. And like my locker room's got, mirrors and all of that for our makeup. I choose to sit on the floor in front of our mirrors that we use for dance because I just like to get up close and personal.
Me too. I get so close and I'm like,
yeah,
I feel you. Or I will sit on the counter, like however close I can get. Absolutely.
This season I brought a extension cord with me because I was like, no, I need to plug in everything I need, but I need to be right here on this mirror.
No, me too. I'm the same way.
And so I'll set up all of that, and then we run through our vamps, which is what I think most college teams would consider sidelines, just the short little like couple 8 count dance that you do. We run through our vamps in the locker room in our lines, and then we go onto the field. And normally that's when you would put your boots on and kind of get your boots broken in for that game. If the field's a little wet, you test that out. And then we do our quarter breaks, we do our pregame, we do our other quarter breaks, and then we go through both of our sidelines, our tunnel. So there's a lot of material that we go through in that short period of time. And normally it's like an hour on the field, and we run through almost like what would be an entire show in that hour. Then we go back in, and then we have promos. So a lot of the girls, I'd say at least half the team has a promo. If not, normally the first couple games, all of us do because it's getting back in the season and everyone's super excited. And so we'll change into our uniforms. We'll eat, they bring us lunch, we'll eat lunch, we'll change it to our uniforms, and then we'll be out in the stadium at different promos. Some girls have performances that they do before. We'll come in, we get like 20 minutes to kind of freshen up, and we kind of have a team huddle that we just kind of speak, whether it's greatness into the game, greatness into our players, greatness into each other. Normally that first game is just that like extra hype up for our rookies of,
for sure,
all right,
for sure.
You worked for this, like go and have fun. At this point, you know it, kind of one of those things. And then we take the field and it's just nonstop, go, go, go until the game's done. And so that's generally a game day. If the game's a little bit later, I feel like in the morning, I don't want to do anything. There's nothing I can get engaged in right now that I'm not going to need to stop. And so it's kind of an awkward lag of like, is it game time yet? Like, can we just start?
I'm just ready
it's
to
game
know.
day. Yeah, I'm ready to see it. And we'll have a couple. This year's schedule looks like we'll have some 7:00 games. And me as an adult is going, I have to work the next day. How am I going to get through 7:00 to midnight? Feel like I got hit by
sleep.
Go to work in the morning. Yeah.
So what would you say, like a final little nugget for anybody, a little gem, a little just overall to help motivate and inspire anybody listening to this, like wondering like how they can make their NFL dreams a reality?
Just be confident in who you are and what you bring to the table. There's never been a DBC or a Titans cheerleader or a Nuggets, whatever your league is, there's never been that league cheerleader that is you. And they want you. Like our team speaks about being that puzzle piece. A team is made up of puzzle piece. And not every girl will check every puzzle piece or check every box. Like I'm not our team's technician. I didn't grow up as a technical dancer. So I'm not a girl on the team that's got these insanely great turns and all of this turnout. And I'm not that person. But I am a person that has a lot of world experience. My parents were born overseas. I was a military brat. So I'm able to speak to people in a way where I'm like, oh, I understand that I've touched on this and I've done this. And I'm our team trickster. Like if you need someone that's bendy that can do like this big split flip thing, that's the box that I check. And that I fit in really well. And I praise the girl over there that can do that other thing that I can't. Most teams do. They want someone that can do everything. So don't ever get discouraged being like, oh, I can't be her. Well, they already have a her. They don't need another her. They need a you. And if you can kind of sit back and go, okay, these are the things I offer and I offer them great. And you walk in on that platform, the way you feel and the confidence you'll bring to the table will make them go, oh, well, if she offers that, I don't know if we need it, but we need it now. Like we need her now.
Thank you so much. I think overall you have definitely I'm just so excited for you. Like I said, like we have been linked up since right before you started college. I'm so glad. It's been an honor and a privilege watching you grow. Like literally when your sister like, look, like you need to talk, like, ugh. So I didn't just say anything. I just said a whole bunch of words, but it has been an honor and a privilege to watch you grow into the woman that you are today. And I'm so glad I was able to at least give you some love and light in the beginning of your journey. And yeah, so what an incredible story from this dynamic dancer, cheerleader, teacher, mentor, all the things. She checks all the boxes. NFL cheerleader. This is Talk to You Tuesday. It's your girl Anja. Oh, do you want them to follow you anywhere?
If you guys would like to follow me, I have an account DVC_Sha'uri, or my personal account is just Sha'uri_Tishana. You find me on Instagram. Happy to talk to anyone, and hopefully we'll be able to do this again soon.
Yes, thank you, Shari. You can find me at It's Your Girl _Anja. Once again, It's Your Girl _ANJA. And until next Tuesday, I'll see you guys next time.
Bye.